going on, friends? It's your boy Danny Brasco Bets. You are live and direct right here at Pick Profits. So now you can't leave. UFC 257 is upon us. Poirier, McGregor. This whole fight card is lined up with sick fights and a ton of betting value. So rock with me here on these free picks. I'm going to drop 4 different picks for you in this video and give you my thoughts on the Poirier-McGregor fight at the very end. So watch throughout and make sure you're tuned into our story all day long, guys. We're giving out free max plays. I'll be posting all my post-fight reactions on the story. Kind of a little watch party we're going to do. So lock in with us here at Pick Profit for a great day of UFC. Playoff football tomorrow. We got a lot going on this weekend. So make sure you're tuned in. Here we go. Let's kick off the action. And I'm going to give you my first fight that I'm betting on. First one I'm looking at is Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Amir Albazi. That's a tough name to say, but I did it anyway. Here we go. Jumping into these fighters, if you guys don't know Zhumagulov, he's sort of a decision machine. He's got a decision in 9 of his last 10 fights. He's going to look to throw the jab, find the left hook. That's his thing. Rinse and repeat. Jab to the left hook. And, he's like just fairly low output, kind of basic striking, but it's worked for him, and he's a decision fighter, decision winner. That's how he gets it done. He's got good cardio. He can definitely go all 3 rounds without really letting up too much, and that's because his output isn't too crazy. He beat Tyson Nam recently by decision. We've seen that's possible. Matt Schnell just did that to him. Kind of touch him up, avoid the right hand, and you can beat Tyson Nam. So Nam is good, but I'm not overly impressed with that. And then his last one, he lost to Raulian Paiva, who's more of a complete striker, I would say, and he lost by unanimous decision in that one. So eventually, if you're going to decision all the time, the judges don't always rule in your favor. That can be a scary prospect if that's how you win fights. And that's what he looks to do, Zhumagulov. He's trying to score points and take it to the cards and win by decision. Well, he's fighting Amir Albazi in this one, who is a very strong grappler, and that's what people know about him. Don't be surprised if he shows off some newfound striking skills. Sort of an underrated striker, and he might look to prove that in this one. But, like I mentioned, excellent grappler. 4 of his last 5 wins have come by round 1 submission, and in his last one, he had a triangle choke on Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon has his own grappling accolades, and didn't matter against Albazi. He showed that he's the better grappler in that one. Overall, I just think he's the more attractive fighter to watch and promote for the UFC. He's more entertaining. Zhumagulov kind of rinse and repeat, basic striking. I don't think anyone's looking to sell tickets to a main event Zhumagulov fight anytime soon. And, to that avail, if it does go to decision, fighting is fixed a lot of the time, man. So if it's a close decision, I think they might lean in Albazi's favor. And I just think he's got more tools in his bag than Zhumagulov. So overall, if it's not a submission victory, I think Albazi gets this one done on the card. So my first bet at minus 115 odds, good value here, is going to be Amir Albazi. If you want to bet on him by submission, that isn't a bad bet. You probably, get good value on a prop, but I think he can win by sub or by decision in this one. And at minus 115, I like the value there. So Amir Albazi will be the first play. He opened up as an underdog. Now some money came in, about a pick'em odds. So that's going to be my first one. Let's go Amir Albazi. Second fight, moving up the fight card to some more noteworthy fights. I'm taking a look at this Brad Tavares versus Antonio Carlos Jr. fight. Interesting matchup here. Taking a look at Brad Tavares, he's a UFC veteran. He's a good striker, very good boxer, and he's been around for a long time. He lost to Izzy Adesanya in the Ultimate Fighter finale in 2018. Most recently, he lost to Edmund Shabazian with he got laced with a head kick. Shabazian just knocked him with that, and that was on Shabazian's sort of hot streak run that he was on before he ran into, some tougher competition. And, in between that, he had a fight fall out with Ian Heinisch. So, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries and has been fairly inactive over the last 3 years. He's going to really need a win here to stay relevant amongst the top-ranked middleweights of this division. Like I said, he's battled a lot of injuries. He's taken a lot of damage over his career, so that's kind of a scary prospect. You wonder where his chin is at this point after fighting so many guys. I mean, he's taken on Robert Whittaker. He's fought Yoel Romero, so he's up there. He's not fighting these guys for no reason. You got to have the skill to take him on, but, he hasn't been beating the best of the best. And now he's fighting Antonio Carlos Jr., who's sort of surging right now through the division, and he looks pretty good. He's going to shoe face Antonio Carlos Jr., awesome nickname there. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, but it's less the striking that Antonio Carlos Jr., ACJ as people call him, will really look to implement his advantage in. His advantage is in the grappling section of the fight. And when he gets his hands on you, he is tough to get off, whether it's in the clinch or it's on the mat. He's got good takedowns from the clinch, and 5 of his last 6 wins have come by submission. So that's what he gets done. He's an excellent grappler, probably one of the best in the UFC, I'll even say that. And his last 2 fights have ended in losses, actually. He lost a split decision to Uriah Hall. That was a tough one. And he lost to a unanimous decision to Ian Heinisch as well. So in this one, I think he's going to look to implement his style. He's going to look to get into that clinch, grapple it up with you, get your back up against the cage, or, take it to the mat, I can see him putting you up against the cage and then getting a takedown from there against Tavares and having his way for, the majority of a round. And that's going to be the way that ACJ is going to get this one done, in my opinion. He has a vicious rear naked choke. He's gotten a lot of victories in his career with that. So once he takes your back, it might be game over for you, and that's how I see this one playing out. So I'm going to take, at a minus 105, Antonio Shoeface Carlos Jr. That's going to be my second pick here. Good value on him as well. And, if you want to take him by sub, I wouldn't blame you for that either. Probably even better value. But at a minus 105, I'll take him all day in this one against Brad Tavares. Should be a good fight. Next one, I'm going to go to the co-main event. Let's take a look at Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Iron Michael Chandler. Chandler making his debut here in the UFC. Veteran Bellator fighter. He's got a lot of hype coming in this one. And Dan Hooker coming off an absolute war, fight of the year type of candidate. Did it win fight of the year? I'm not positive. But against Dustin Poirier. So, that was an absolute slobber knocker of a fight. Hope you guys all saw that one. Chandler, like I mentioned, making his debut against the number 6 ranked lightweight. That's pretty insane to me. They're just throwing him into the wolves right away. I mean, he was a stand-in for the title fight against Khabib. If Justin Gaethje had to back out of that one, I thought that's ridiculous. You can't just give him the title right away or the title opportunity. He's got to prove himself first, and they're giving him a tall task to do that. 4 out of the last 5 fights for Michael Chandler have ended in round 1, and most of those are first-round KOs for him, but one loss was to Patricio Pitbull, where he got slept, hurt bad with the right hand. And, Chandler has a lot of great skill sets. A lot of people talk about his wrestling. He's got good boxing, striking himself, but his chin isn't so durable. I'm not in love with his ability to take punches. So we'll watch out for that, for, how that plays out in this one. I will say he's beaten some really good fighters in his career. You wonder, guy coming in from Bellator, how's he going to be in the UFC? Who has he fought? What type of UFC type of calibers has he fought, in Bellator? He's beaten Eddie Alvarez before in his career. He beat Benson Henderson a couple times. He has beaten Patricio Pitbull before, so he's fought some of the best of Bellator, of course, and those are all UFC caliber type of guys. So he's legit. He's fought legit competition. No one's writing Michael Chandler off in this one by any means. I will say, I just mentioned his fights against Benson Henderson, and here's something that I'm seeing as a weakness for Chandler. If you watch tape on those fights, he really struggled with the knees to the body from Benson Henderson, and up the middle knees, some of the Muay Thai that he implemented. And against Dan Hooker, that's some of his strength and his strong suits. That Muay Thai, those knees and elbows, up the middle shots. Dan Hooker loves that. And if you're struggling against Benson Henderson in that arena, good luck against Dan Hooker. Those might really take some wear and tear on Chandler. So watch out for the knees to the body. They don't look like much to the untrained eye at first, but they will take their toll. And you get up, off the stool in the second round after you take some knees to the body, and all of a sudden your energy bar is just zapped. So we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, Chandler's a good boxer. He actually switches stances really well. Also, I like his ability to change stances from southpaw or orthodox. And he can fight well from both sides, but he can load up kind of heavy, is what I noticed on his shots, and that makes him susceptible to the jab. So don't be surprised if you see Dan Hooker just touching him with the jab a lot of the fight, because he's very, he leans out a lot on his shots and loads up pretty heavy. So Dan Hooker, then, we know Dan the Hangman Hooker. He's coming out of City Kickboxing with Izzy Adesanya, Volkanovski, a lot of amazing fighters. Those guys are sick over there. They have amazing low kicks, and I have seen Chandler struggle with low kicks. I think that Dan Hooker is going to look to beat up on the legs, and I've seen that happen before to Chandler in his career, so don't be surprised if you see him limping at the end of this one and some welts on the calf or on the thigh of Chandler. And Hooker's coming off that fantastic performance against Poirier. It wasn't enough, but those guys battled. He fought so well. You can't take anything away from Hooker in that one. People are talking about Chandler's wrestling so much, but Hooker's takedown defense is great. I mean, it's really good. And he was even able to take down Poirier a bunch of times, who's a pretty good, damn good wrestler himself. He took down Paul Felder, so he's no slouch when it comes to the takedown arena, and he can defend it well. All those guys out of City Kickboxing can defend takedowns well. He counters the takedowns with really good guillotines. He's got a tight squeeze, so if Chandler looks to get one takedown and he misses or he's in bad position, don't be surprised if you see Hooker try to lock up a guillotine that could be effective. And, Hooker's slept guys like Gilbert Burns and James Vick. He's got nasty striking, those elbows, those straight punches, those knees. So put it all together. I'm going Dan the Hangman Hooker in this one, sitting at a minus 145 right now. I think it's too much too soon for Chandler. I think the hype train dies here, and I also think that in debuts, a lot of the time, people are overvalued, overhyped, and, no matter who you are, those ring jitters get to you. So give me Dan the Hangman Hooker in this one. All right, so I gave you thus far, I gave you Amir Albazi, I gave you Antonio Carlos Jr., and I gave you Dan Hooker, all minus 150 or better. And in this one, I'm going to give you a quick parlay for you. If you put together Khalil Roundtree and Amanda Ribas, as you say, the H, in Portuguese is actually pronounced as the R is pronounced as an H, the more you know. So Amanda Ribas and Khalil Roundtree, if you parlay them together, that's going to be a minus 145 odds. As for Roundtree, they are serving this guy up to him. He's taken on Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio is 0-3 in his UFC career so far, 3 first-round knockouts that he's gotten dropped by. Roundtree loves to knock people out in the first round. He's sort of had an up-and-down career, but he's a really good fighter. He's beaten some good fighters in the UFC before, like Eric Anders, Paul Craig, and he's lost to some other good fighters, but he just signed a new contract with the UFC. So in my opinion, I think they're serving him up this one, and that's where I really look to bet on, guys. He's like a minus 350 right now, so I want to parlay him with someone else. I like Khalil Roundtree in this one. I think he's going to sleep Prachnio in the first round. And I'm going to parlay him with Amanda Ribas, who's just on an absolute heater right now. 5-fight win streak. She's taken on Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a good striker for sure, but she really struggles against grapplers. She got dominated on the ground by Carla Esparza, who's one of the best wrestlers in this division. She lost a 10-8 round to Randa Marcos. She got 10-8'd by Cynthia Calvillo, all via, their groundwork and grappling. And Ribas is a great striker, but she can grapple her ass off too. Got a really good clinch game, good knees and elbows, and I think that's what she's going to look to do here. I can see her finishing this fight, before. I don't think it will go all the way even. A lot of the time the female fights will go to distance, but Ribas might end this one. So if you parlay them together, she's also, better than a minus 300 right now. Parlay them together, you get minus 145. We're going to go Khalil Roundtree and Amanda Ribas to both win and get you guys some good value in a little parlay. All right, I got a couple minutes left here, so let's talk McGregor Poirier. I will say from the jump, I don't think there's a ton of betting value here, but of course, we want to know, some insight on this fight. So if you are looking to back someone, here's the tail of the tape for both guys. Let's take a look at Dustin Poirier. He's a much more mature fighter than when they last fought in 2014. When they last matched up, straight up, Conor got into his head. Poirier was too amped up. He was too tense. He wanted to get the knockout. He hated that everyone was on Conor's side looking for him to win, and I think that got to him, and Conor was able to, seize that opportunity with Poirier kind of out of pocket in that. And I expect him to be much calmer and much more measured in this one. The presser has been sort of weird. Conor's being this friendly guy. Maybe some reverse psychology here. Normally he's the villain. Now he's the buddy. Hopefully, Poirier doesn't let his guard down on him because of that. But I think, McGregor might be doing that in this one. This new 2.0 Zen McGregor is kind of interesting to watch. A little, not sure what to make of it, but could be a little reverse psychology. He's a mentalist, always playing games. Poirier, what can we say? He's a great boxer. He punches so well from inside the pocket. He goes to the body really well. He's good at, he's gotten into wars and done so successfully against Dan Hooker. Max Holloway, he won a unanimous decision. He KO'd Justin Gaethje. This guy has a great resume. So no sleeping on Poirier. He can take shots, but he's also sustained a lot more damage. And I've seen him be able to get, susceptible to southpaws like Dan Hooker. He took a lot of damage in that one. So that's a scary prospect against a southpaw like Conor McGregor, who's got that one-shot knockout power. And then if we look at Conor McGregor, we know about the notorious, his storied career, the most popular athlete this sport has ever seen. He has not been very active recently. I think the ring rust is a little, overblown for him. The greats are less affected by ring rust, but he's only fought against Cowboy, and that's about it, other than the Khabib fight in the last, how long? Years, So he looked phenomenal against Cowboy. His martial arts look as good as ever. And, say what you will about Cowboy, about that fight against Cowboy, but he dominated every second of those 40 seconds till he got the knockout. It was really impressive what I saw him do. So people talk about him gassing out in his cardio. Well, that's because he throws crazy volume. So if he's measured, he can go into deeper waters. I think that Poirier will look to take him there. Conor's best path to victory is an early first round, second round, maybe even third round knockout. And Poirier's best path to victory is getting him into those championship rounds 4 or 5, touching him up with a lot of shots and maybe trying to end it late or win by decision. So those are their game plans, I bet. And in all 4 losses, Conor's only lost by submission. 2 of those are to Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So look, I think that I got to go with the Notorious here. I can see him, bouncing in and out of range. Sleeper of a left straight hand, and I think he's going to get this one done. So I'm going to go Conor McGregor, but I'm not betting on it, watching it as a fan. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the fights. Let's go get this money. Booyah, Cash.